I got permission
There
to
we
do
go.
this. No, I got permission.
This is it. Yeah, they can't do much to us now.
There
It's
you
all
go.
good. They're just bumping into us, but we have some velocity. We have
I
some
don't
inertia
care.
to
I got
stop that.
permission. I don't care what he says.
Anyone that gets bumped
I'm
really
fine.
far out.
Alright, let me walk it back. On the 16th of June, around about half a month before the start of Meta Shift Season 3, me and Ecto decided it would be funny to form a high-set new player griefing alliance called Absolute Order. Ecto originally came up with the idea to focus those guys specifically, mostly because he thought it would be extra funny. At that point, I already knew about them since me and Ecto and some other guys from the official EVE Discord decided to bash the Avenor and Losec at the start of this year. Anyway, that day I was just using my ult to pump people off their mobile tracked units so that I could kill them in the hope that they'd engage me because of it. And so, on the very first day of doing this, an Orca did. I don't have any video footage of this fight. This is going to be a recurring theme during this video because I didn't really record much. I do however have a few screenshots of this happening live that I sent to Ecto. Now let me zoom in a little there. Not only did they bring all of that, they actually brought more in between then and me killing the Orca. An extra Ferox, another Moa, a Rattlesnake, a Gnosis and a Kronos showed up as well. Totaling 11 ships including the Orca. Normally, having a Vigilant there should mean I basically die instantly. However, this is not just a Vigilant, this is an AO member. Flying a Vigilant with a tier 2 web and a cruiser at 3, it didn't really bother me much more than a regular web would. Nothing in all the ships they brought had any tackle, so after killing the Orca and almost burning out my reps trying to not die, to 11 ships shooting me at once, I decided to leave the grid. I've been using this Nurgle fit for quite a while now, so even before doing all of this I knew it performed at least fairly well. The stereo crafting behind it isn't very complicated. A NOS to keep everything running, even through newts, an A-type afterburner because it's not that expensive and it helps with mitigating damage, a cap battery to allowing me to tank forever, a faction scram to kill people with warp core stabilizers and because I might as well fit one, a regular armor repair, full tank because I personally don't think entropics add that much to the Nurgle, and the spooling speed and the slight increase to maximum damage don't really do it for me in the comparison to just having way more tank. The kinetic membrane and the rake are there because there are people ratting in this area of space mostly shoot kinetic, and since people in absolute order are basically NPCs anyway, I didn't really have to count for other damage types, so I just went with full kinetic. It's also officer because I thought it was funny. It's got acolytes to do extra damage to shields, offset reactives and the defang drones as well. I've seen other people use cap booster dual rep fits on a Nurgle to suspect bait, but I personally don't think it's that good. Mostly because it's got less reactive spooling and also because it, runs out of cap boosters eventually, which doesn't really help. I've had fights that take like 35 minutes, that wouldn't have been possible. It's got a full mid-grade Asclepian set as well, which I actually bought after the 1v11 I mentioned earlier. Yes, it tanked all of that without implants, although that's mostly because it was Absolute Order members. Things like warping to the belt at top 0 while the Orca was 120 off, not bringing any tackle. Shit fit Vigilant really didn't help them. The Stabber fit is also very shrimpable. It's just an average 500 men fit with a combat probe launcher to scan down MTUs and ships, and a ship scanner to check their fits, to see if I need to maybe disengage, run away, or maybe just to see how long I need to shoot it. After that Orca kill, Duck also joined us in farming Absolute Order. And so, for the next few weeks or two we got some fairly consistent kills, and Ecto got a pretty good solo out of it. Then, on the 28th, the new Meta Shift Season 3 categories got announced and, oh hey, target hunting. So, I made a new Discord called Michael Mill based on a meme in the official EVE Discord, and got some like-minded gamers in to help us kill Absolute Order. Now, before I go on with all the other kills and content we got, I do have to talk about this first. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned specifically that Absolute Order is a new player griefing alliance, which is how Ecto was made aware of it. This isn't some vague claim or anything, but actually a genuine problem. And Absolute Order by far isn't the only alliance out there doing it. Things like predatory buyback systems, sharing wrong advice, pushing people towards mining, and a monthly donation fund just to make the leadership more money, the average member doesn't last longer than a month. Me and Ecto on our spy alt also had this experience firsthand when I got told to not do the career agents and to mine instead, and Ecto got asked to hand in 50% of his ore to his mining FC as a form of payment. Also getting linked complete shit fits for activities that would definitely die doing them was fairly common. Whenever they get called out on this behavior, they always write it off as a former member trying to make them look bad or baseless claims when the proof is literally right in front of them. It's really the reason the video is named the way it is. They constantly make things up. It's gone well beyond role-playing straight up into actual delusion, like genuinely thinking they own high-sec space and stating the reason they lost the fight was because NC somehow made the server crash, and even making their entire website look like a giant neo-Nazi post, all in the name of making new players have the worst experience possible. Because of all of this, there's also been an insane amount of toxicity. I don't have time to share every single screenshot since it's well in the hundreds, but some of them are fairly important, either for context or just to demonstrate how bad it really is. For instance, Ecto got told to kill himself on 3 separate occasions, both by Absolute Order members and their Alliance CEO. Me, Ecto and Doc have gotten dozens of slurs thrown our way from basically everyone in the Alliance, some of which I can't even show on here. We have gotten called the retards for just killing an MTU several times, and one of them even threatened to dox us. And one guy just started lying about that what's in the toss or something, I don't know what he's all about. We of course report them for this behavior, but even then they don't even believe it and blame it on being a false report. And then they choose to instead falsely accuse us of breaking the terms of service, followed by spam reporting us for doing nothing. Doing all of which we've probably been reported well over 40 times combined, yet not a single one did anything, because we haven't done anything wrong. After the start of Meta Shift, me, Ecto, Doc and the rest of my Mill decided to pick up the pace, and come up with many alternative ways of trolling. We started repeatedly smart bombing, their augmented mining drones, while still continuing our regular suspect baiting, killing a Shack, an Escape Bay Damavik and a Pod, a Ferox and a Gila, and some more mobile tracked units, and we then turned our attention to their low-sec stations. And so, me and Noob Michael made a spider tank Ishtar comp together. We specifically chose Ishtars because we figured AO could never comprehend the concept of swapping to a different comp, so they would fly pure Feroxes straight into a full spec tank Ishtar comp like NPCs would. The Ishtars all have small remote reps refitting, and the cap battery itself is enough to just keep the reps running, but the cap boost helps with structure newts. For the people that couldn't fly Ishtars, we brought spec tank Murbills, fins in a similar fashion, and links were done with spec tank Theoses, also with a similar fit. Sadly, they didn't even bother to show up to defend it, so we just killed the Astra, got all the loot and dipped. The day after killing the low-sec Astra, me and Doc went on a balling spree and killed a random unrelated orc at first. Then later on in the day we went to bully Absolute Order again, and at some point I decided to just AFK in the ice belt they were mining while suspect. One of the Orca pilots randomly asks me what I want, and after a bit says, "Screw you," and a gecko starts flying towards me. I then proceed to kill this guy's Orca. While Doc manages to schizopose the Orca into sending him 300 mil as a ransom, I of course kill him anyway. And Basilisk and Osprey showed up to try and rep the Orca, but since my suspect timer had already ended, both got concorded. The Orca did also drop a nice 2.5 billion. A bit later, Doc was sitting on a now empty Orca wreck in a suspect clown shoe sigil when he got engaged by an Ishtar and a Worm, both from Absolute Order. I then also went suspect there, Doc tackled me and convinced them to shoot me. We then proceeded to kill both of them. 2 days after that, Doc found the Thunderchild ratting, and since Edencom lightning bounces to anything suspect on grid, we decided to just warp on it. We went suspect, the lightning bounced, and we killed it, together with Tau of Arcady, aka Feed Michael. A few days later, I actually fed my Nurgle when they decided to camp a mob attract unit with a blob. I should have just lived, but since the game decided not to warp me, I got tackled the next tick. I got the Nurgle back, so it ended up being a what can you do anyway. We then baited a guy on one of the depots we anchored to bait them, which worked pretty well. I then went on a vacation for a bit, but Ecto and Doc kept trolling while I was gone. Doc soloed a shitfit Stormring and killed a Caracal together with Gavin on another one of our depots. Meanwhile, Ecto called a Black Flag member Warren for calling him a fucktard for no reason and got his war decked for a bit. A while later, Absolute Order got war decked by NC. We decided to try and just bomb their fleets and kill any of them that fucked anything up during this. One dude misclicked and accepted the duel invite I sent him, and another guy apparently shot Ecto while he was AFK on a structure and got concorded the day prior, which gave Ecto a kill right. We then went after him during one of the fleets and killed him again. Not before he actually shot my Nurgle, even though I hadn't engaged him yet, which gave us another kill right, so we killed him again. Then at one of the Fortizar timers, we killed another APOC with a kill right on him, and a few guys that got themselves concorded because they're stupid. Sadly, I didn't have the time or enough remaining mental capacity to extend this video to put everything that happened in it. But oh well. A special thanks to all the Michael Mill Coopers that put up with all this bullshit for the last 3 months, and others helping with theory crafting, much of which we sadly didn't use. I really gone and went and figured out all the control tower mechanics only to not use it. What can you do when you live in a shoe?